Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. So, in continuation with the topics for um, tax two, business tax, and transfer tax. So we already tackled about transfer taxation, which is estate and donor stock tax. So right now, let's go to business taxation. So under business taxation, so we'll discuss the general principles, which is this video. Value added taxation, what are the basic concepts of that? VAT on goods and properties, VAT on sales and services, input VAT, credits and refunds, and administrative procedures and compliance requirements, and also other business taxes. So right now, let's discuss first the general principles of business taxation. So as you can see in your screen, let's define first what is business. So a business pertains to a trade or commercial activity regularly engaged in as a means of livelihood or with a viewpoint of obtaining profit. Of course, you're doing business for profit or for your livelihood. Generally characterized as performing a systematic, continuous, and regular income generating activity. It is not a performance of a single disconnected act to obtain a gain. Of course, sa inyong accounting, what is this principle? This principle is going concern. So if you conduct a business or if you engage yourself in business, then it is generally characterized as a continuous tool in order for you to generate income. Okay? May be pursued by any person, regardless whether or not the business is a non-stock, non-profit organization, irrespective of the disposition of its net income, whether or not it sells exclusively to the members or their guests, or a government entity. So business can be pursued by any person, including juridical person or either a natural person. And it must be within the lawful commerce of men. Of course, your business must be lawful. So here, as you can see in the diagram, the general classification of transactions in relation to business tax. So what are those? So first, let's go to the um, transaction that is subject to business tax. So first, under this transaction, it should have a commercial activity. Okay? It can be services rendered by a non-resident foreign or some non-business transaction specified by law which is subject to business tax. Okay? So, under commercial activity, guys, of course, what are these activities? You have your regular sale of goods, property, services. Of course, it should not be exempted by law. Okay? Because if the services or sale of goods is exempted by law, then it is not subject to business tax. So if it is not exempted, then that is subject to business tax. So sale of goods, if you're selling goods, especially merchandising or manufacturing, selling properties, just like if your business is on condominiums or real estate, so you sell properties, or services, just like exercising your profession, okay, or your selling services, just such as massage, spa, beauty parlor, okay, entertainment industry. Those are selling services. Another activity is the sale of an ordinary asset. Why? Because sale of an ordinary asset is subject to business tax. So sale of capital asset is subject to capital gains tax. So kung ordinary asset imong gibaligya, ordinary assets sa imong company, then that is subject to business tax, not capital gains tax. Under some non-business transactions specified by law, you have here sale of shares of stock through stock exchange. Okay. You have your overseas communication, and also horse race winnings are subject to business taxes. So if there are transactions that is subject to business tax, then there are also transactions that is not subject to business tax. What are those? Of course, your casual sale or employment. So what are those casual sale? Those are Selling of capital asset. Why? Why not subject to business tax? This is subject to capital gains tax. Employment services are not subject to business tax because this is subject to withholding tax on compensation. Okay, so please take note of the diagram. Business taxes. So now, imposition collected by national government on onerous transfer. So what is an onerous transfer? We have two, diba? Onerous and gratuitous. Onerous is with consideration. So onerous transfer of property, service, or rights in the ordinary course of business. So if it is an onerous transfer, then a business tax is being imposed. Under the NIRC, business taxes are classified as follows. First, you have your VAT or your value-added tax, a general consumption tax that requires a 12% additional tax on the sales price of goods or services by a VAT-registered seller or sellers required by law to be under the VAT system. Another classification is another other percentage taxes or OPT. So these are general consumption taxes imposed to non-VAT registered businesses. So if dili ka VAT registered, then you are subject to other percentage taxes. Number 3 is excise taxes. So taxes imposed on products and are harmful to health, such as alcohol or tobacco, goods that are not essential, and the products that are deplete natural resources, just like your mineral products that are manufactured or produced in the Philippines. This kind of tax is also levied on some imported products to protect local industries. Okay, so the excise tax is imposed in addition to VAT. So mo na three classifications in business taxes. So you have your VAT, other percentage taxes, and excise taxes. So excise tax is an in addition to VAT or other percentage tax. But kung VAT lagi ka, dili na ka mubayad sa percentage tax. Pero kung percentage tax ka, dili na sa ka mubayad og VAT. So si 1 and 2, dili na sabay. Si 1 and 3, 2 and 3 are pwede magsabay. Okay? Because that is imposed on top to the VAT or percentage tax. So before you can start your business or to make your business legal, of course, you need to register your business. So we have business registration. So what is the purpose here? For regulation purposes, the state, through the exercise of the police power, requires a business to be registered first before the commencement of its economic activities. Non-compliance to its business registration renders the business illegal. So upon registration of the business, the taxpayer will indicate in the BIR form whether this business is subject to VAT or other percentage tax. If the products of the business are harmful or non-essential, in addition to VAT or OPT, the excise tax shall be imposed as well. So later on, you will know how to avail VAT or OPT. So what are the process of initial registration? So the application for registration must be filed with the RDO or Revenue District Office. So tanawa lang RDO 80, RDO 81, RDO 82, and RDO 83. Mao na ang RDOs dali sa Cebu City. Okay? So na mga specific place kung asa under ang business na RDO. Of course, the RDO is where the principal place of the business branch, storage, place, or premises is located, as the case may be before the start of the business. So if your business is at Mandaue or Lapu-Lapu or South, Cebu North, then that is under RDO 80, Mandaue. If your business is located Talisay down to South, that is under RDO 83, which is located in Talisay. Okay, so RDO 81 is north of Cebu and south of Cebu City is RDO 82. So it includes first your registration, your form. You will fill up the form 1901, okay, business registration. So what are in the form? First is the taxpayer name, residence of the taxpayer, business, the place where such business is carried on, Other information as may be required by the Commissioner of the Internal Revenue, so such as your business name, the DTI numbers, sa 1901 na form. Okay? Required documents. Of course, TIN application form para tagaan ka og TIN or tax identification number. The sketch of the business site of the taxpayer if necessary, but right now it is not necessary man as long as you detailed lang the the business address. Number 3 is exemption certificate if applicable. So if you are a BOA or PESAC registered companies or a BMBE, then you need to submit your exemption certificate para dili ka makabayad ng income tax. 4, photocopy of the following: your mayor's permit and municipal license, DTI certificate of registration for single proprietorship, and SEC certificate for partnership and corporation. For corporation, there is an additional, or corporation or partnership, there's an additional requirement you need to present as well, or to submit your articles of partnership or articles of incorporation, marriage contract for individuals, unit or agency charter for government agencies and local government units. So those are the requirements if you register your business in the BIR. So what is a tax identification number or TIN? So for tax identification purposes, a person who is subject to internal revenue taxes is issued with a TIN. And statement number 2, please take note and known by heart, only one TIN will be assigned by the BIR for each person. Okay, so kung buhi pa ka, na kay TIN, TIN, tax identification number, and usara yun na siya. Hindi na pwedeng, want to kaglayang lugar, mga kaglayang TIN. No, there should be only one TIN for per person here sa Philippines. Okay? When man ka pwedeng magkakuhaglaing TIN kung mamatay na ka because of your estate. Okay? So estate is considered as a juridical entity, then it has a separate TIN. Any person who secures more than one TIN or who fails to indicate his correct TIN on a document specified to the indicated with TIN shall be subject to the applicable criminal sanction. So take note, kung magduha-duha kag TIN, then you are subject to criminal sanction. So dapat kung nakakuha na kag TIN, please memorize that or have a copy of it para di ka gamitin mo sa employment or sa business. So di ka makalimot. And you should only have one TIN. Though if makalimot ka, you can go to the BIR and ask for it. Okay? Annual registration. So in general, a business should register before the start of its operation as a general rule. Okay. However, it shall renew its registration annually before the end of January or January 31st. So once you register sa BIR, sa imong business, then you are also required every year, deadline na sa January 31, imo sa nang i-renew ang imong business registration sa BIR. And the payment of that is 500 pesos. Upon registration, the person must pay an annual registration fee in the amount of 500 pesos, as I mentioned, for every separate or distinct establishment or places of business before the start of such business, and every year thereafter on or before the 31st of January. So that is under Section 236 of the National Internal Revenue Code. So here, we need to determine the essential terms. So separate and distinct establishment or place of business. This includes the head office, branch, facility, or a warehouse. Okay? So you have your own TIN, but ang kanang last number na guys is 000, tulo to lima ka zero na siya. So head office will always bear a 000 number sa last. But if it is a branch na depende na ikapila na branch. So pwede na 01, branch 1, 02, branch 2, 003, branch 3, something like that. Okay? A branch is a fixed establishment in a locality which conducts sales operations of a business as an extension of the principal office. So a warehouse is a place of premises where the inventories of goods for sale is kept and which such goods are withdrawn for customer delivery, dealers, or persons acting in behalf of the business. Then you have also facility, which may include but not limited to sales outlets, places of production, warehouses, and your storage spaces. So are there exempt from registration fee? Yes. What are those? Individuals earning purely compensation income. Of course, since sweldo naman ka ng mga trabahante, that is not subject to registration fee because you're not doing business. Registration fee is only applicable to those individual earning from business, okay, or engaging in business, okay. So if you are compensation income, then you are not subject to a registration fee. Of course, and overseas workers, because they are not taxed, di ba? They are considered non-resident alien. So ano pa, mayroon pa ng registration fee, mga mas diri, right? Self-employed individuals where the gross sales of receipt does not exceed 100,000 per year. So that is considered as a subsistence livelihood earner. That is under Republic Act 9337. So kana mga kana mga sari-sari store, right? Kana manindag barbecue sa inyong probinsya, no need na sila mo register sa BAR. Because again, I doubt na mulapas na sila 100,000 pesos. Pero kung mulapas na ganyan 100,000 pesos, guys, then they need to register their business sa BIR. Okay? Cooperatives are not, exempt from registration fees. So VAT registration threshold. So the VAT registration threshold of gross sales or gross receipts as indicated in IRC under Republic Act 8424 and Republic Act 9337 shall be adjusted to their present values as provided in Section 109 PQV of the Tax Code of the 1997 using the Consumer Price Index as published by the NSO or PSA. PSA na doon. On October 27, 2011, the Department of Finance issued IRR number 16-2011, which amended the adjusted threshold amounts and further amended by RA 10963, which is the train law. So just read through it. So before, sa 2005, kuha na siya 1,500,000. Okay? Then, pag 2012, na-adjust pag yun na siya to 1,919,500. So, among time ka ng 1,919,500 pa na siya. But karon under RA 10963 or the train law, the VAT threshold is now 3 million. So, what do you mean by this? So, if ang imong business or gross receipts or sales mulapas na ginag 3 million, guys, then you are already, you need to pay VAT. Okay? Basta lapas of 3 million. And you need to register your business as a VAT. As a VAT taxpayer. So, register it in a VAT registration is required na if 3 million, lapas sa 3 million in gross sales or receipts. If not, then you can use the other percentage tax. Okay? Kung dili ka kabot sa 3 million. 3 million and below. Okay? Pero kung 3 million and above, starting 2018, then you are subject to VAT. So VAT or non-VAT registration. So again, any person intending to engage in business shall determine whether she or he has to register his business as a VAT or a non-VAT. So a VAT registered business is subject to 12% business tax, while a non-VAT business is generally subject to 3% other percentage tax on the gross sales or gross receipts. Okay, so more the qualification niyo if mo register ba mo sa VAT. So tanawa lang, if imong business gross sales and receipt for a year is 3 million and above, 3 million above, then you register it as a VAT. If not, then register this as a non-VAT and then you pay other percentage tax of 3%. So mandatory VAT registration. So he is expected, again, so you are mandated to register as a VAT if expected annual gross sales or receipt exceed 1,919,500, which is dili na ni mao. Okay, because that is amended up to 3 million. So actually, you will just use item number 3 here. Pursuant to RA 10963, the VAT threshold for sale or lease of goods or properties or performance of services shall be 3 million. So kana is just for reference lang na siya. So 2011, 1,919,500. Okay? But 2018 onwards, that is now 3 million. So optional VAT registration. Persons with taxable business transaction Persons with taxable business transaction that do not exceed 3 million per year has the option to register under the VAT system. So bisan pag di ka kabot og 3 million guys, then you have the option to register. Nara na mo, pero mas hassle. Kay monthly mangud ang payment ana. Tapos na pa yung mga alpha list. So ako kung dili akong advice ako mga kliyente, if dili nakabot 3 million a year, then you register as other percentage tax because quarterly lang ang bayad. Franchise guarantees of radio or television broadcasting whose annual gross receipts of the preceding year do not exceed 10 million derived from the business covered by the law granting the franchise may opt for VAT registration. The option is once exercised shall be irrevocable. VAT exempt sales of VAT registered taxpayers whose dominant activities are subject to VAT, then you have the option to register as VAT. And then, of course, that is subject to 3 conditions. The taxpayer's dominant business is covered by a VAT law and is thus registered as a VAT taxpayer. Third, said VAT registered taxpayer has the other business transactions which are exempt from VAT but has opted to register the same as well to be covered by the VAT system. And the third condition, the optional VAT registration shall be irrevocable for a period of 3 years from the date of registration. So once you select sa registration ninyo as VAT, then dili na pwede ma-release than the next year. Irrevocable na siya for 3 years. Okay? So after third year pa ka mo change if ganahan ka mag percentage tax. So non-VAT registration at taxpayers who did not opt to register under the VAT system must register under the non-VAT system, of course, when he is a VAT exempt person subject to OPT. Individual engaged in business with the gross sales or receipt do not exceed 100,000 during the 12-month period. Though required to register, they are not required. Though required to register, they are not required to pay the registration fee of 500 pesos. Non-stock, non-profit organization and associations engaged in the trade or business whose gross sales or receipt does not exceed 3 million, okay, for any 12-month period or in any month as adjusted thereafter for every 3 years depending on the CPI as published by the NSO or the current price index. Of course, cooperatives other than electric cooperative statement. Cooperatives other than electric cooperatives, however, they are not required to pay the registration fee because exempted man sila. Radio and TV broadcasting whose gross annual receipt do not exceed 10 million and which do not opt to be a VAT registered shall be subject to 3%. PESA and other eco-zone registered enterprise enjoying the preferential rate of 5% in lieu of all taxes are not obliged to register as VAT. SBMA or the Subic Bay something and other free port zone registered enterprises enjoying the preferential tax rate of 5% is not subject to VAT as well, or VAT registration. Optional lang na sila. So cancellation of a VAT registration. So once a person registered his business under the VAT, such VAT registration shall be irrevocable for 3 years from the quarter the VAT registration was made. So take note, dili na pwede ma-cancel within 1 year but dapat after 2 years. A VAT registered person remains to be liable to pay VAT until his VAT registration is revoked by the BIR. Take note. So we have a comparison of VAT and non-VAT business here. So just take note. So if you're a VAT registered, you are allowed to collect output VAT from your customers. The output VAT is the current liability to be remitted to the BIR. So sa non-VAT, no output VAT. So the business tax is charged as operating expenses. So adtunin mo siya ibutang sa imong OPEX ang imong percentage tax. Allowed to claim creditable input VAT on purchases from VAT-registered suppliers. So input VAT is a current asset and an advance payment of VAT. So sa non-VAT, wala sa input VAT. Okay? So because that is part of your cost of purchase or cost of goods sold. So a non-VAT person collecting VAT. So a non-VAT person who issues VAT invoice or official receipts shall pay the following. Mupay kag percentage tax applicable to the transaction and VAT due on the transaction under Section 106 and 108 of the tax code without the benefit of any input tax credit. So careful mo in issuing invoice, okay? Especially if non-VAT mo, in-issue mo VAT invoice or official receipt. So aside mo pay kag 3% sa percentage tax, mo pay pa dyan ka sa VAT na 12% sa imong sales. And number 3, plus 50% surcharge under Section 248 of the tax code because incorrect man na invoice yung issue. So, manang careful dyan. So, VAT on husband and wife. So, purposes of the VAT threshold of annual gross sales or gross receipt, the husband and wife shall be considered as a separate taxpayer. So, they have 3 million each, okay, as a threshold. However, the aggregation rule for each taxpayer shall apply. So pwede rapat ma-apply ang threshold. But the law mandates na dapat i-consider sila as a separate taxpayer. Okay, so that's it for the general principles of business taxes or on VAT. Next video, I'm gonna discuss further the VAT. Thank you.